welcome to United View, welcome to Road Trip Extra, the morning after the night before, you know what it is. Let's get into it. Paul Pogba. And the question is, and I think it's important to answer this as a question, not a statement, would Paul Pogba consider a Premier League move after Manchester United, going to another team in the Premier League? This is according to Mike McGrath from the Daily Telegraph.
It rhymes, so it's true.
It rhymes, so it's true, says Josh. And Mike McGrath has got an article saying that basically Pogba is open to options at the end of the season that could include Premier League clubs. And I think it's very interesting I think it's very important to not run away with this and then start, maybe using it as a way, as an angle to say, see, Pogba's not going to care, and you've got to be really careful with stuff like that, because I'm not saying the article is doing that, but sometimes the intentions aren't always pure, especially when it comes to Paul Pogba. Let's break it down. Factually, there could be offers that could come on the table from Premier League clubs, because at the end of the season, when his contract finishes in 4 months' time or so, he can talk to any club. Right now, he can do the pre-contract thing where he can talk to clubs abroad, and at the end of the season, who knows? Chelsea might try and get him. It's not
Chelsea. It's Newcastle.
No.
It's Newcastle.
Imagine that.
Fam, it's Newcastle.
Oh, imagine that. But they're not really saying.
Because if you was to think about it now, what team now do you think, in all the positions that every team is in, would go, do you know what, we could get Paul Pogba at the end of the season?
It doesn't make sense. There's two things. One, you're going on which you don't really want to go into in case you get burnt, but you like to think so. You're going on the love of the club. You're going on, I don't want to play for City, don't want to play for Liverpool. I played for Man United. You're going off that. So you would like to think Pogba wouldn't do that. But then, even away from that, because they say there's no loyalty in football, there's no love, etc., etc. Even away from that, think of like you're saying, Josh, like the suitability to those type of teams. Is Pep Guardiola going to go, I know what I need to take this Manchester City team to the next level? I need someone like Paul Pogba, who isn't really the type of player that I like. Paul Pogba's fantastic. Would he work in a Pep Guardiola team? He's good enough to play with them, but would he do the things that Pep Guardiola would want? Doesn't fit, does it? It just doesn't fit. Stranger things have happened in football. We never thought that they'll be interested in signing Ronaldo, and it nearly happened. You never know, but that feels severely off. Jurgen Klopp's the same thing. Doesn't suit. It's not a Liverpool signing. Forget the Man United connects. That's probably the biggest thing. But secondly, if you look at it, how that midfield works and how he wants his midfielders to play, Jurgen Klopp, that's not a Paul Pogba situation. If Kante stayed at Chelsea, they go again. They didn't challenge for the title, which is a failure in Abramovich's mind. Kante stays. They know how well they play together. Could they then try and get Pogba on a free? That's probably a little bit more of a debate. But I just don't see it. And I just think that the article is basically stating the obvious, which is that at the end of the season, he could have offers from Premier League clubs, which is true. You're then looking at other clubs apart from City, Chelsea and Liverpool that, why would he go anywhere else? Never going to go Tottenham, never going to go Arsenal. And then you look at the Newcastle situation. Imagine that. Imagine Paul Pogba going to Newcastle. Highly unlikely. Look, we know of Paul Pogba's love for Real Madrid, a potential PSG look as well. That's to me where Paul Pogba ends up. Or maybe back to Juve, rejuvenate with them. Rejuvenate. I'm on it today, innit? Completely by accident. Yeah, exactly. I can't see it. I think this is a situation where, Paul Pogba will go abroad. Could be wrong on that, but on him, which a lot of people had to say yesterday. Look, there's two sides to looking at it. He come on against 10 men against Brighton, and completely changed the game. He should be doing that, but it was very refreshing to see. Even away from that game, in the other games we've been playing, which we've been drawing, he's been on it. When we in our good moments, he's been the player. Him and Sancho at the moment, especially him. But what I would say is that we know we're in that territory of is Paul playing for the move? Where's his future going to lie? But it's not about that right now. At the end of the day, I think it's about not being emotionally attached to it, really. Yes, it's nice to have Paul Pogba stay for the right reasons and rebuild again. But he's been here, 5 years, is it? Was it 16 he came? 16? Yeah, about that. And it hasn't you know, he hasn't fulfilled his full potential. Neither has anyone in the team, but he hasn't covered himself in glory for what we want to see. But especially with if he leaves and what we need to replace him with, it's going to be very difficult. You can't. There isn't a like for like. You need to build a whole different type of midfield, a whole different way of playing if you lose Paul Pogba. So it's about getting the best out of him in the meantime. I think this is going to rumble on. Jesus Christ! That guy nearly just swerved.
Health and safety.
Yeah, definitely. I said in the summer I wanted it sorted so that we could avoid this whole thing. It happened at Christmas. But the reason why it didn't happen to the extent that we probably thought it would with the speculation with him was because he was injured. And it's happening again now because we know that it's coming to the end of his contract. So we're not going to be able to stop these things. So guys, just be on the lookout. I said I had a video a couple of weeks back when I was saying we get used a lot as fans. We've got to read between lines. We get used a lot as fans by the media, by agents. You know, people looking for the sensationalism. I saw something from Christian Falk as well saying that the English players are turning on Ronaldo. Oh, look at that. You just read for yourself. We win a game where Ronaldo wins us the game and Bruno finishes it off. But Ronaldo was, the catalyst, scores a very important goal, gets the first goal of the game. And then the immediate thing the next day is the players don't like Ronaldo. I mean, guys, don't fall for it. Do you know what I mean? Don't fall for it. Now look, we know that, I'm not saying every player in the dressing room is happy. The truth is always somewhere in between, I understand that. But you have to look at these kind of headlines that come out and are like, oh, instantly try and bring some negativity after the back of a positive. It's too well timed. Too much of a coincidence for me. That's why I didn't even want to really go into that whole, the players hate everyone and it's shit again. Like, we just won a game, for God's sake. Just won a game. Let's look forward to Leeds and go again. And if Ronaldo's the star of that game, then we're looking to build momentum. It's about the team. If the team's winning and we're getting good results, that's all we want to see. It was interesting to see what David De Gea was saying about Ralf Rangnick and saying he's a new manager, but he wants us to press and be more aggressive. And we haven't seen that for long periods. He said we saw it in the second half, but we didn't see it in the first half, and vice versa in other games. So the players are coming out and saying that Ralf does want them to play on the front foot. He does want them to press and win the ball back quickly. So that's them. That's him basically saying it's on them. They are being told to do it, but they're the ones not doing it. When I look at that first half yesterday of how we let Brighton just stroke the ball around with no pressure on at all, you could have sworn that was the instruction. Like a half-court press. Only press in the middle third, or only really put a squeeze on if they get into our defensive third. By the way that we wasn't pressing, it was so lethargic. It was almost like that was the direct instruction. But it's refreshing when you hear David De Gea say, "Well, actually, no, that's he is telling us to do it." Obviously, he's not going to say, "But we're not, and it's all our fault." But in a nutshell, that's basically what he's saying. How can you not see it that way? Because they're being told to do it and they're not. So. And just back on that Christian Falk thing, it's not as if he's got anything wrong recently, is it? He's really trying to search for a story of Christian Falk, so I wouldn't believe anything he says at the moment. He's looking to get back in, so I'm very skeptical around Christian Falk. He needs to break the Haaland news first of his next move, and it actually happened for him to gain his credibility back. He took a big one after Man United definitely aren't talking to Ralf Rangnick as the position of interim manager. Not true, he put. Then he went, true, Man United are talking to Ralf Rangnick, you know what I mean? So look, it's the way of the social media, it's the way of football Twitter. Don't get sucked into it. It's one thing I don't like. I don't like just embracing negativity for the sake of doing it. If I can see that something is clearly going wrong with my own eyes, with the players on the pitch, and then you can see it, yeah, fine. Sometimes, yeah, you're going to discuss the odd leak here and there, but when it becomes, so apparent that it's an agenda, or it's like a little bit of a spin just to put the negativity back when we've just got a tiny bit of positivity because the first 3 points for a little while, I'm just a little bit skeptical of that. I want to stick to the facts. And the facts are, we won a game last night and Cristiano Ronaldo helped us win that game. I'm not really willing to get into now the players don't like him all of a sudden. I'm not really on that. And the Paul Pogba thing to finish off, is there some truth in it? Well, factually, like we said, to summarise, yes, an English team could put an offer on the table. He's willing to wait to the end of the season.
I'm telling you, it's Newcastle, fam. And this is what's happened, yeah? Mike Phelan's out at the end of the season, yeah? He's gone over to Newcastle, doing a trial, and he went, hey, Paul Pogba, fam.
He's definitely not going to listen to my feeling to go over there. Definitely not. But yeah, so if you were thinking of 2 Premier League teams, or a couple of Premier League teams that would probably put an offer on the table for Paul Pogba, would Newcastle be as audacious to even try and do that? Money talks, let's just leave it as that. And Chelsea, you never know. Roman Abramovich is always capable of something crazy. And like I said, I know there's talks about Kante coming to the end and all of that. Some Chelsea fans I've seen online saying, oh yeah, maybe move him on, whatever. Injured quite a lot. But if he did stay and they tried to get Paul Pogba on a free for a couple of seasons, you just never know. So if I was to pick, and even that's really unlikely. So, definitely not City, definitely not Liverpool. So I think take that Mike McGrath, piece with a pinch of salt and kind of look at it like, well, technically he's right. In the summer, Premier League team could come from him and he could look at it, but I think that's very, very unlikely. Smash a like on the video, guys. That's your update for today's news. Hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what you guys think. Do you think it's absolute nonsense and Paul Pogba would never dare do that to us and break our hearts and go to another Premier League team? Or do you think there's something in it? Maybe you don't agree with me. Maybe you think no. Flex, I think you're being naive. Money talks, you never know in football. Maybe he would. Would he go to City? Would he go to Liverpool? Let me know what you guys think. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.